And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
That's right, I am the Punk because I'm here talking to my man, Big Josh. And I'm ready to go because I want everyone to know Big Josh is late. Big Josh has been late. He is late. I have been doing this podcast now for the last 20 minutes. I have now stopped because he has decided to join us. And God bless you for waking up, you bastard.
I know. What a scumbag I am. Seriously, I just don't know what happened. I went to bed knowing that we were supposed to film at 5. And we don't normally film this day. We normally film the next day. I don't know what it was, but I set my alarm for my normal time to get up at fucking 5:30. I normally get up right before it. The alarm goes off, and not this time, man. Of course, not this time. I'm like, the alarm goes off, and I look at it, I'm like, it goes.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
you go from 0 to 100 like that. It sucks.
Yeah. It's so funny. Why can't you get up? Why can't we get up that way normally every morning?
Oof. Because you'll have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, you're in LA, right? You're visiting the family.
I am down here with at my dad's place. That's why you see all this fine stuff behind me, beautiful pictures and stuff set up. I got my stuff up on books. Everything's balanced. It's all fantastic. I'm ready to go. Can't wait.
And you also went to the services for Eric the trainer. He had yesterday, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
a celebration of life for him. I just all that stuff. Horrible.
John, it just feels like it's all around us right now, man. It's really a Debbie. It's like one of those Debbie Downers every time I turn around.
Yeah.
Someone's passing, something's going on, heart problems, issues, and it's really bothering me. I mean, it has been for a little bit, but hey, like you said, it was with Eric, it was more of a celebration of life, a position. And, I wish we would do more of those, it just seems to be like every time when someone passes, we it puts everyone in a bad mood. I wish more people would get together and just talk about at least express, all the good things about these people that have we've lost, because there's so many good stories to tell.
There is.
And Eric was definitely someone that was just full of life.
It's one of those things when you look and you go, I never ever in my life, and I'm being honest when I say this, Josh, I'm a pretty positive person. Now, I'm a bit of a jerk, I know. I walk around with a frown on my face, but it's not because I'm mad. I'm just concentrating, which is not easy for me to do. So,
glad you finally admitted it.
Okay, so, Eric was the most positive person I ever met in my life. And, we ended up having a great relationship. He came to my gym, to film something at one point, and he just, he started off with saying, we should work out together, right? And at the time, I was doing all right, but I was starting to get a little bit out of shape. And I was like, yeah. And he said, no. He says, when do you want to work out? We'll work out, right? And he had this he was weird. I'm just being honest. He was weird.
I get it. Yeah.
But it was this infectious. He was so energetic, so just gung ho for life that I said, you tell me when. He goes, tomorrow. I know, tomorrow, right? And it just started that way, and then. Through him, I brought him into the world of MMA. He brought me into his celebrity training stuff. I went all over the United States, sometimes parts of, internationally, to do stuff with him, to go train people, to do all these different things. And he was so full of life. He was, of all the people, he was one of the most positive people I ever met.
Yeah.
And he infected so many people's lives with joy. Mm-hmm. By making them feel so good about, they were so worried about what other people saw. They were worried about the outside, what the mirror told them, instead of looking towards the inside. And he was so good at grabbing that inside and making it feel good to the point where the outside just changed. And he was able to make it be this, thing that they wanted to be. And he was magic with it. And I'm going to miss him. It was one of those things that you look at and you'll never understand, but it was good to get to see a lot of the people I hadn't seen in a while, and get to talk about him. Tell a couple stories. But I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the pictures you had posted, and I'm assuming some of them were overseas, or were they local?
Yeah,
yeah, some of them were overseas. Yeah, I agree with you though. He caught me off guard too. The very first time I met him, I was like, this guy it was a pretty big
strange.
Guy. He's strange. It seemed weird, but like you said, it was more in a good type of weird. Like, how can someone be this nice?
Yep.
Especially when you live around in cities and like in San Jose, like for us, not everyone's friendly.
No.
I mean, it's like you go to the smaller cities. Let's just say like you live in a smaller city outside of, you go like Patterson, California, or you go to like, these little towns. People are saying hi to each other as they walk through. You get in big cities, and this is where I met him. I believe I met him in LA at the LA Fit Expo.
Fit Expo?
Yeah, the Fit Expo. And he was just so nice and it was very weird. I was like, a little standoffish at first, but then he hit me up through, through social media. I was like, hey man, I'm around. Like, if you ever want to go do the USO tour, you don't want to do like, I do this all the time. And so, like we have a group of us, I'll tell you. And so I think I was supposed to go to Afghanistan with him at one point.
I was supposed to go to there. That got called off, but yeah.
Yes, it did. So maybe we were going to go together.
And we probably were.
Maybe. Anyways, but he was a great person, absolutely great person, and feel for his wife, and I believe he has a daughter, correct?
He's got a son.
A son, sorry, okay, and then but yeah, it's a sad, like you said, there's nothing we can do to explain it, but it's a rough time. All right, well, you want to get ready to move on with the show?
Let's go, baby.
All right, let's do it. But first, before we start, go to WayneAmMerch.com. Pick up some of our new merch. Like I said, we've got new quality stuff. Hoping to get some sweats up there and some other gear up there. Can you scroll down there for me, Dave? At WayneAmMerch.com. There is no 20% off codes in that because we priced everything perfectly for you guys just to pick it up. Great Christmas gifts. If you know someone that listens to our show, snatch a hat. We've got hats now. All different types of hats. And I love the hat that says, "Let's get it on." Let's get it on.
Whoever would say something like that.
I was wondering why we never use that. I don't understand. Why, John?
Because I try to avoid it.
Oh, jeez. No way, man. That's why I've just married myself to the punk, to the name. I'm like, fuck it. Like, why try to fight it anymore? It's already almost 50 years old. I'm still trying to fight the nickname. Gosh. I'm like, really? Come on. Isn't that for like 20-year-olds or 18 or 12-year-olds? Come on.
Might be.
Nah,
you can barely fight for real, so don't try and fight.
Oh, jeez. Look at there.
Jeez. Says the guy who has this is the guy who throws the fastest windmill and thinks he's winning a fight. Head down, schoolyard throwing, this guy. So, and then somebody, remember the video, not the video, but the pictures I sent Dave where I posted in the group chat of the wrestling, the guy taking the other guy's pants down, wrestling that way. Yeah. So I had like 3 people send that to me in my DM saying this must be the wrestling that Dave does. So they obviously listen to our show. It's great. I thought it was great. All right, well, let's get ready to start on the UFC talk. But before we get started, go to mybookie.ag. Use our promo code weighing in. Check out some of the odds there, and I want to thank you guys for continuing to support us, but that's at mybookie.ag. Use our promo code weighing in. Let's go right into the main events. UFC 282, and you've got, Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. John, it's a good fight, man. This is a really good fight. It depends, though, on how Jan, if Ankalaev uses his wrestling or not, if he makes it a stand-up fight. This fight gets real interesting if Ankalaev decides to stand the whole time.
It is exactly what you're saying. Unfortunately, this card has kind of fallen apart with a lot of different things going on. This is what happens in the fight game. Promotion-wise, the UFC is handling it the best that they can. Because this was supposed to be Yuri Prochazka against Glover Teixeira #2, which, that was a great fight. Mm-hmm. They can sit there and say what they want. And yes, there was a lot of, when you look at mistakes made, techniques that were not, done to the way they were supposed to be, maybe it would have finished the fight, all these things. But that's what made it such a great fight because both guys had such heart in it and you wanted to see it again. This was supposed to be the co-main. Now this is for the championship. Glover did not take the the opportunity to switch opponents and take on Ankalaev as the opponent for the belt. He felt that, you know what, he needed to train for his specific style. I don't blame him. I think he was right. But Jan was in a position where, hey, man, this is perfect. I'm fighting the same guy, and now it's for the title. Jan needs to do certain things. And if you're looking at this fight, it's pretty basic. Look, both of them have the ability to take the other guy down if they try. I don't think they're going to try too much. I think Ankalaev will be more appealing towards getting into a clinch at a certain point and working at taking Jan down, because it'll take him away from Jan's game of throwing power. You look at the stand-up, Ankalaev has got power, but he doesn't utilize it the same as Jan. He likes to touch, hit you with volume, start to, you know, get you off balance, and then try to really launch a missile at you to do damage. Jan, everything he throws for the most part has got power on it. He's trying to take your head off from the start. So, you know, looking at it, I see Jan basically almost saying, I'll take one of yours to give you one of mine. That's going to be kind of his aspect in. I think he's going to really try to press Ankalaev, be in his face. Ankalaev's got very good footwork. He moves very well. He's going to try to use that to gain that distance so he can just do what he does in the stand-up and touch him and stay away from the right-hand power of Jan Blachowicz. It's a good fight. It's just not the fight that I wanted to see.
Yeah, I would agree. I think everyone would probably agree with you on that. Is that, you know, like you said, the fight is kind of the card is finally falling apart a little bit, and it's kind of affecting how they're going to kind of sell this as a pay-per-view. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like the turnout, I guess, because it's all, so many people probably already bought tickets previously before, but that you normally get, what people don't understand is that they normally get about 2,000, maybe if you're lucky, 3,000 walk up. You'll get that amount of people walking up. Now, is this going to be one of those fights where that people just, they look at it and they go, you know what, I can just buy the pay-per-view. You know, especially if you're already in Vegas, you're like, you know what, I'll hear about it later. Yeah. I decided not to go. You know, I'd rather just go to the club, or I'd rather go play Top Golf, or I'd rather go hang out and have a nice steak dinner with some friends, whatever it is. You know, if they're in Vegas visiting, they don't want to spend the type of money to actually go inside the arena. Then they can just watch it in a pay-per-view event somewhere. So that's something to keep on the mind. But I do agree, this is a very good fight. But I think it all comes down to Ankalaev on whether he wrestles or not. Because I don't know if Jan has enough. I don't think he has the ability to stop Ankalaev's wrestling when he wrestles. And I don't think that Jan can take Ankalaev down if he gets in trouble. So, I mean, if he's lucky, he catches him off transition, I could see that. But I also don't think that Jan's going to try to take him down. He's going to try to sprawl and brawl, keep this thing on the feet. But if Ankalaev is smart, he will try to let the hands fly, let some of those kicks go, keep him at range, you know, circle away from the right hand, and then when he overcommits or when he starts to slow down a little bit, then work on the wrestling. Or try to wrestle him right away to slow him down, to take away his power right off the bat. That would be the smartest move, is to pressure, and then try to get in deep on the takedowns, make him fight, you know, fill his arms up with some blood, make him a little bit slower. He is getting older. What, John, 39?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are in that mix, you know, with Glover and with Jan. They're getting older in age. So what is he? 39. So he's getting older in age. And when they get older in age, the pop's not there after a couple big time exchanges. You need a little bit more extra time to recover.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind when you guys are watching this fight. But I think I agree with you. If Ankalaev decides to keep it on the feet, this fight could get interesting.
No, it really could. And I do believe that, just like you, I think that Ankalaev at least has to put it into Glover. Glover has to put it in Jan Blachowicz's mind that, hey, I'm willing to grapple with you. I'm willing to take you down. I'll just be the one deciding when it's going to happen, so that Jan has to at least give respect to that. That'll slow down some of his approach in trying to pressure Magomed. The real question here is, can Jan land that big shot? Because look, he's got enough power, he can put anybody out, but it doesn't come as, you know, fast as it used to. And that little bit of timing difference can make, you know, huge differences in someone's ability to see it, their ability to counter it. And so, not taking anything away from Jan, he's still very dangerous. He's still a great fighter. But right now, look at this is Ankalaev's fight to lose.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. He should be winning this fight. Does he fight a smart fight? If he does, he's going to win. If he doesn't, Jan Blachowicz will end up beating him.
You know, the Ankalaev and Glover fight is a very interesting fight because I don't know if Ankalaev wants to take him down.
No.
That's the, it's like, he might want to be on top of him. I just don't know. I don't know. That makes for an interesting fight. And can Glover take him down? Because if Glover does get him down, I think he's in trouble. Almost everyone's in trouble if Glover's able to get you down.
Yeah, but Glover's not fighting him, so.
No, I get it, but I'm saying, but there is a possibility that Glover would get the winner of this.
Yeah, there is a possibility, but it's, and I thought, going back on it, I think Glover was smart in saying, hey,
yeah,
I'm not ready to fight that style. I didn't train for it. My opponent was completely different. Yeah. And he's right. Yuri is very, wild and approaches things completely differently. So I thought Glover made the right choice. And you're right. If, Ankalaev fights Glover, I don't think it's a great fight for Glover based upon the speed of Ankalaev in the stand-up. And then he's very elusive. He's hard to hit, and he's got very good wrestling. It's going to be very tough for Glover to take him down.
Yeah. I think Glover made the right decision as well. It just sucks because I would have liked to have seen that fight.
Yep.
And maybe we'll see it afterwards. We'll see what happens. But
yeah.
All right, well, hey, let's move on to the co-main event.
Paddy Pimblett taking on Jared Gordon.
Nice. All right,
Josh,
well.
hop into the odds real quick.
Yep, I will. Can we talk about the fight first? Or are we going to talk about the odds?
Oh, no, we should. We need to do the odds on Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev.
Well, let's do it. Let's
jump into weighing in on the odds.
So you got weighing in on the odds at mybookie.ag. Use our promo code. Well, there we go. There's that, just in case. Oh, man. So we've got the Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz fights. You got Ankalaev at minus, Dave, what does that say? 250 or 290? 254?
294.
294 at a minus 294 is Magomed Ankalaev, and a plus 221 is Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah. I look at that, and I'm being honest, I think Ankalaev is the favorite. I think he's the one that should win the fight. Mm-hmm. If you're going to bet in that position, I really would. I'd put the money on Ankalaev. I hate to put out $300 to win 100, and that's basically what you're doing there. But I think I would go more towards the over. If you're looking at it's 3.5 on the over, I think it's, what is it? Minus 120?
Yeah, on the under is minus 123, and on the over is 103.
Yeah, and the over at 103, I think is a good bet.
Yeah,
I think Jan is tough enough to take a lot of what Ankalaev does for a while. Ankalaev doesn't try to load up on shots. He tries to volume you and then hurt you and then take you out of the fight. It's going to take him a while to wear Jan down. Mm-hmm. So I think the fight's going to go over the 3.5, and I think it's a good bet because you're basically at even money. You put $100 down, you're getting $100 back. That's not a bad bet.
Yeah, John, I'm not betting on this fight. It's just too many things. Just being honest, man. There's just too many things that could happen. I mean, Jan could catch him coming in. Jan's got the power to, got that Polish power. He can just put anyone's lights out in no time. And Ankalaev has been proven not to fight smart sometimes. What I mean by not fight smart is that he doesn't utilize the wrestling when he should utilize the wrestling. Now, I know he's been able to get everyone out of there, but why play with fire that long? He continues to do it with fights where he should or at least wrestle a little bit. He doesn't do it. He sticks with the stand-up. He's fallen in love with the stand-up. I think he's an extremely well-rounded fighter. But when it comes down to these type of fights where you have a chance to capture the title, I'd like to see him try and maybe utilize the wrestling a little bit more. I'm not confident that he's going to do it. So for me, I'd stay away from this fight. My personal opinion.
You are such a coward.
Candy ass. Big time candy ass. All right, well, let's get into Jared Gordon and Paddy Pimblett. What are you thinking there, John?
This is a good fight for Paddy Pimblett. Let's be honest, they're not looking to get Paddy beat, but Jared could be a guy that could beat him if Paddy makes mistakes. And that's the one question. Look, does Paddy make mistakes? Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He makes big mistakes in fights. And if you get a guy that can be disciplined and catch him in those mistakes, he can put him in a lot of trouble. Now, he's not an easy guy to get rid of. But the one thing that has been seen with Paddy Pimblett is put him on his back and he has a hard time getting himself up. He can be dangerous as far as, throwing up submissions, but for the most part, Jared Gordon's very good on the ground too. He should be able to avoid those submissions. So in looking at this fight, if I'm Jared Gordon, I'm going out there. I don't want to be on the feet long with Paddy because Paddy actually has some power in his hands and he moves fairly well. And so I want to put him on his back. I want to make it as gritty and grimy and dirty of a fight as I can make it. I want him to be frustrated. I want him to be looking up at that referee like, can he do that? I want him to be thinking of, oh my God, I can't stop what this guy's doing. And I've only got another round. I want him to be in that. He's almost on the defensive. And Jared Gordon can do that. Now, will he do that? That's the question that, you look at, because as you get into these types of fights, when you're Jared is, both of them, Jared and Paddy have never been a co-main event in the UFC. They've never been in that position. Paddy has been in the main card. I think Jared might have been in the main card once. I'm not sure that he even has, done that. And so you get into that co-main event and you got all that pressure that you want to be impressive, and you got to fight smart. This is about being a smart fighter, someone that uses a good game plan and make Paddy start to worry, make him feel frustrated, make it to where he makes those mistakes. That's how, if you're Jared Gordon, you get your win.
Yeah, because you can pull, I think, the fighter out of Paddy Pimblett and make him fight.
Yeah.
Stupid. You can do that by just getting in his grill, throwing shots. Now you may get knocked out in the exchange.
Yeah, you could.
You could. But there's also, some of the fighters that he's fought in the past have been able to drop him to his butt. Now he's fought through it. He's had some good comeback, wins. He does not fight smart normally, but I also look at him too, is that he finds that he's confident in what he can do, Paddy Pimblett. And so I think he understands, like, look, I'm going to let it all hang until I need to survive. Then I'll survive. Then I'll come back out and let it all hang again. So he's got that ability, to just let the flow of the fight go. Now, what happens in this situation though, John, like you were talking about, being the co-main event, bright lights, everyone's going to already be there. They're not just showing up for the main event. Yeah, that's more pressure. That adrenaline dump is for real. And so Jared Gordon, though, that look on his face, or that mindset after, if he does drop Paddy, or if he does get him in compromising position and then Paddy gets out, is, what do I do now? Those things are real. That mentality and those situations that go through your mind as you're fighting, they're real. Oh, yeah, and so and then Paddy seems to be the guy that, like, oh, I'm good. Like, just to keep rolling with the punches. He puts himself in those positions all the time. So this will be a fight that Jared Gordon's going to have to understand. I can hurt him. I can rock him. I can do all of these things, but I've got to stay composed. I've got to just keep chipping away, and eventually I'll catch him. So don't pressure it too much if you do get him in trouble, because Paddy will still be there after that. And he showed us that. I think it was his first fight, right? His very first fight, he got dropped, and he was weathering the storm in that very first fight that he had in the UFC. I look for Paddy to come out and be a showman.
He's going to want to be.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
That's who he is.
Yeah,
it's hard. Like, you see it with Kevin Holland last weekend. I look at it this way: is that Paddy's maybe not on that level of, like, trying to be a showman so much to let somebody up. Paddy's out there to win, but he's gonna do some Paddy shit, and he understands that he needs to be a showman, or he's gonna be a showman.
I want that shirt now. We're gonna do some Paddy shit.
Yeah, right. Like, so, Paddy, if you see this, buddy, man, I want the copyrights on that. But I'm expecting this to be a good fight, John. But let's see what the judges, or let's see what the odds makers think on it, though. Let's pull up mybookie.ag, use our promo code weighing in. And you've got Paddy Pimblett at a minus 230, 256? 256.
It makes 256, yeah.
You are such a blind bastard.
I know. Well, Dave's got it like the smallest it could possibly be. And then I got it under, and then Jared Gordon is at plus 194.
Yeah.
John, I think I'm gonna probably I'm probably going to put the money down on Patty if I was going to bet. But this is another one of those fights that you don't know. Both of them, never been in the co-main event before.
Yep.
Both of them, the bright lights. You just don't know what's going to happen. I would probably avoid this fight too. I'm going to push.
Avoid all fights.
I'm going to push, buddy. I'm going to push.
What's the over-under on that?
So the over on it is plus 107 and the under is minus 135 at 2.5. At 2.5.
2.5. Yeah. And you look at that, and it's a fair number and stuff, but I look at this fight and I'm going to take the underdog in it. Not that I don't think Patty is the favorite. I do think Patty's the favorite. And I do think the chances of him winning are up there percentage-wise. But I would take and say, look, Jared Gordon's a good fighter, and he's a tough fighter. Could he win? He definitely can, but he's got to fight the right fight. So this is one that I just throw a little bit of money on Jared Gordon to try to make up some money based upon the odds. I'd throw $50 on the fight. Go with Jared Gordon and see if he can pull that big upset.
You're a better man than me, my friend. You're a better man than me. But hey, before we go any further though, I'm going to say that I would probably not bet on that fight. Okay, let's go to the next fight. How do you say his name? It's did we lose? I thought no. I thought I saw the other odds. Sorry. Yes, you got Ponzinibbio. Morono. This is a last minute replacement.
It is a last minute replacement, but it is not an easy fight for Ponzinibbio. Look at Alex Morono has really proven that he's a tough out when it comes in the UFC, man. His ground game is legit. Okay, he doesn't get a lot of credit for it. It's legit. The guy is an absolute stud on the ground, and he is better than Ponzinibbio if this fight hits the ground. Now, the question is, does it hit the ground? And with Alex Morono, a lot of times he doesn't want it to. He loves the stand-up. Ponzinibbio has the power in this. You take a look at the two guys. Ponzinibbio is the guy that has the power in his hands comparatively. Morono's got decent power, but Morono's a gamer, man. He'll take shots to give shots. I'm not sure that's the game plan that he's going to come in with against Ponzinibbio because you can't take too many. He does have power. But I'm telling you right now, this is not a gift given to Ponzinibbio. Alex Morono is the real deal. Ponzinibbio was supposed to fight Robbie Lawler. You know what you're looking at with Robbie. You know he's not going to try to take you down. You know he's going to throw a big bomb at you. And if it hits, lights out. If it doesn't, you got a good chance in the fight. So I look at, the volume that Alex Morono puts is going to be a lot different for Ponzinibbio to deal with than the volume that a Robbie Lawler puts out. And he's accurate. He's a tough out. Yeah.
I look at it as can Morono get the takedown, though? His grappling's good, but is his wrestling good enough to get Ponzinibbio down? Ponzinibbio's been fighting wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys pretty much his whole life. He understands that all they want to do is take him down because of the amount of stand-up output that he has, Ponzinibbio. So will Morono be able to get this fight to the ground? And I agree with you. If it does get to the ground, that Morono definitely has a huge step up in advantage in that.
Yeah.
So it's going to come down to whether Ponzinibbio can stuff the takedown and can he be effective while having to stuff the takedowns. That's the other thing is when you're fighting someone that's constantly trying to take you down, trying to push for the takedown. Now, I know that Morono will stand. There's no doubt about that. But when you're threatening that takedown, you're making the other person tired. When you're all the way in, you're crushing the space, so it's harder for them to get the knockout. When you're all the way out, it's harder for them. They're chasing after you. It's that how smart will Alex Morono fight to make sure he avoids the combinations, the output of Ponzinibbio. But let's check and see what the odds maker said.
We don't have odds for this fight because it was because it was so last minute. So
alrighty then.
There may be odds by the time the fight happens, but right now no odds. But I can understand their concern in it because this is not an easy fight for Ponzinibbio. This is a tough fight. Alex Morono has a very good chance of walking away as a winner in this fight.
The fight, though, that I had heard some buzz about that there was potentially, because Barberena had asked for it, but then he just fought last weekend and lost, so there's going to be suspension time. But, John, for future, that would have been a fun fight.
Oh, it'd be a great fight. Ponzinibbio against Brian Barberena would be a great fight. Yeah, it would have
been a fun fight. All right, let's go. Darren Till versus, how do you say his name? Dricus Duplessis.
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 Yeah, you're talking about two guys that are really good when it comes to the stand-up. And so you look at this, Duplessis comes from a complete stand-up background. He's really tried to make himself a complete fighter. He's worked at his wrestling. He's worked at his ground game. Obviously, Darren Till has worked at his also. It's just that I think Duplessis is actually more willing to try to apply those new skill sets than Darren Till. But if you're looking at this fight, this is a fight that's going to happen on the feet. And it's who's the better stand-up guy when it gets to that right now. And I look at Darren Till, when you have someone that is not a good takedown type of fighter, a guy that's got a really solid wrestling background, Darren Till does very well against other stand-up fighters. So you got to give him the nod as far as he has the advantage in this. He's still a very solid stand-up fighter with heavy kicks, good leg kicks. His hands are solid. He goes to the body well. I just look at this point, this is a perfect fight for Darren Till if he wants to come out and look good.
He needs to look good.
He does.
He seems more like a part-time fighter right now because of all the injuries, because of all the postponements of his fights, whatever it is that he was going through. He seems more like a part-time fighter. It's hard to get momentum going, John, when you're constantly getting hurt, when you're sick, or any of those things. And so he needs to figure out how he's going to end up winning this fight and getting on a winning track and just continue to chip away and getting closer to a title shot in the middleweight division. Because he was ranked pretty high up there for the longest time. I think he's dropped quite a bit now because he hasn't fought for so long. But we're looking to see let's see what the betting odds think on this though. They've got Duplessis at minus 185, and they got Darren Till at plus 144. Oof.
Yep.
Man, put some respect on this guy's name. Come on, let's go.
And that's why I look at that and I go, hey, I'm putting my money on Darren Till. Like I said, Duplessis comes from a great kickboxing background. He's good. But it's different in MMA. Kickboxing and MMA are completely different. Darren Till, I think, actually might even, use some of his, Khamzat Chimaev training that he's been doing at times and look towards, just making Duplessis think about that takedown. I don't think that Darren's getting enough respect. And I think I would go with Till in this fight. Did
they break up, Chimaev and Till? Did they break up? Are they still friends?
I think they're still friends. They're just training in different places.
Different places. Interesting.
Can't stay together forever, Josh.
No, you can't. You can't, especially if he's going to end up fighting at 85, Chimaev.
Hello.
You're gonna have to stay broken up for a little bit. All right, I'm gonna definitely go with Darren Till. This is the fight that I will bet on. I will bet on the Darren Till fight, and I will take. It says on the over and the under at 2.5. The over is plus 115, and the under is minus 147. Ooh, they got some belief that this fight's gonna end early. What do you think?
That's okay. I just take Darren Till.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I take Darren Till
and really take the real thing I look at here. I know it, in some people's mind, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Look at the quality of opponents that both have faced in MMA. Duplessis has not faced the quality of opponents that Darren Till has.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But Darren Till also has a loss to Masvidal?
He's got a loss to Masvidal. He's got a loss to Tyron Woodley. He's got a loss to Whitaker.
Yeah. But see, so the Whitaker one I can understand, but with the Masvidal and the Woodley situation, I don't look at it as much as those guys. Their stand up is not as good as Duplessis, and so if he can just keep it on, Duplessis will keep this on the feet, and the striking is there, he's still able to get caught. That's what scares me a little bit with Darren Till. He's a good striker, but he leaves himself open quite a bit, and those little gloves sneak in at awkward angles and positions. So. This is a fun fight. It's definitely a gamble to bet, but I'm going to take Darren Till just because, like you said, overall the experience.
Yep.
All right, next fight there, podcast Dave.
All right.
How is this fight not higher up on the damn card?
Was opening the pay-per-view.
What?
It opens the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know. But see, I look at this fight. This fight is going to be a good fight, man. This is going to be a really good fight. So you've got Bryce Mitchell versus Topuria.
Both of them undefeated.
Both of them are undefeated, 12-0 versus 15-0. the hillbilly Bryce Mitchell, man, he's been fire lately all over social media with his flat earth shit and everything else that he talks. It's fucking.
He's great.
I'm like, dude, do you really believe this? Do you really believe that the earth is flat? I mean, I'm just like, geez, man. I don't know.
Are you saying you don't?
I don't, John. I don't. I don't. Oh, man. But then Topuria, he's been talking trash. He's been doing all this stuff. And Bryce Mitchell said, finally, you know what? Because one of his fights fell off. He's like, you know what? Fine. Just give me that guy. I'll take that guy. It's an easy fight for me. Woo. It's going to be a dangerous one. It's not an easy fight. But then again, John, I thought that the Edson Barboza fight was going to be an easy fight for him. He made it look easy, quick.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I didn't think it would be an easy fight for him at all, and he did make it look fairly easy.
Yeah,
his wrestling has gotten really good, but Topuria is good everywhere.
Yeah,
let's just be honest. His stand-up is clean, and it's a lot cleaner than Bryce Mitchell's. Mitchell's stand-up has gotten better, but Topuria, when you look at the stand-up and his execution in the stand-up, he has got some skills there. Both of them on the ground have skills. I do think that Mitchell applies his jiu-jitsu in a different fashion than Topuria, and I think he's more effective with it. I really do. But let's just be honest, man. Topuria has already faced very good jiu-jitsu practitioners, and they didn't fare too well with him. So this is a fight either guy can win, and like you said, I would have thought this fight. This is a co-main event type fight. Yeah. This is a great fight. Great matchup. Can't wait to watch it. Anytime that Bryce Mitchell fights anymore, I will watch it because the dude is hysterical. So he's very serious, but he's hysterical.
This fight could have been a main event on one of the Apex fights.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would have loved to have tuned in for that. But let's go to the odds and let's check and see what they have to say on this. You got Topuria at minus 147. Man, against Bryce Mitchell, who's plus 115. The over-under on it is 2.5, but then you've got minus 144 on the over and plus 113 on the under. Yeah, this fight's going to go the distance. I believe it's going to go the distance, so I'm probably going to stay away from the over-under. I could bet on the over, but I believe it's going to go I think it's going to go the distance. Both these guys, it's going to be a barn burner back and forth. You're going to have Bryce Mitchell just scrambling, trying to get that takedown. He's going to be making some weird, funky moves to get the fight to the ground. Yep. He's going to do whatever he can. I got the feeling, though, John, with how easy it was for him to get Barboza down, and I've seen Khabib had a little bit of an issue sometimes getting him down. Other fighters have had a hard time getting Barboza down. Bryce Mitchell's got that, I don't want to say the word, but...
No, he's got that stickiness.
No, I was thinking dumb strength.
I know what you're going to say. I'm going to say stickiness.
Okay.
He's the guy that you think that you can just push off.
Yeah.
And you can't. He's a lot stronger than you think. He's a lot tougher than you think. And you can sit there and you can play into he's a farmer from Arkansas, hick talk, all that doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
No.
The dude can fight. And he is a tough customer when it comes to the fight game. And when he gets his hands on you, he tends to continue to do the right things that puts him in the right position to finally put you away. And so I actually don't think the fight's going the distance. I think the fight's going to end. I think someone's going to be ending this fight. And it's a great, question of who it's going to be. But the fact that Bryce Mitchell is the underdog in it doesn't surprise me. Based upon the stand-up of Topuria, you're looking at who's the more complete fighter, who's the more well-rounded and cleaner fighter. I think Topuria is. I'm not sure that he's the guy that's going to come out with the win, though.
Yeah, I'm taking Bryce Mitchell on this fight at the plus 115. I'm probably throwing out about $300.
Yeah, there you go. See,
I'll probably throw out about 300.
Now you're starting to at least do something, you coward.
Right, I was. I pushed on the first couple of fights because I knew that there would be some good fights to bet on later on.
There you go. You knew.
At plus 115, I'm taking the Bryce Mitchell. And I honestly believe both of them are undefeated for a reason. I'm going to take the over on it.
Okay.
And so the over on it is minus 144. I'll probably put down about 200 on there. So probably total about $500 on this one fight you could potentially make money on. I look at it is that both of them are undefeated. Both of them have proven how tough they are. Like you said, Topuria's got a really good grappling game, good ground game. It's going to be hard for Bryce Mitchell to get the finish that way. Now, he may be able to cut him. He may be able to do something like that. But I'm looking at this fight. There'll be some exchanges on the ground. Topuria could eventually just end up being stuck on bottom, can't get up. And Bryce Mitchell being able just to grind out the victory, but not enough to be able to get the finish is how I see this fight potentially going out. Now, Topuria could rock him on the feet, all of those things, and get him out of there. I don't see Bryce Mitchell knocking him out on the feet.
No.
So then I'm looking at this fight going, if I'm going to bet on Bryce Mitchell winning the fight, it's got to go my way, which means dude,
the distance.
I want to go the distance. Yeah. I can see him finishing him. I could, but to me, Topuria is a tough man. He's tough. He's not going to roll over and give you that first loss.
No.
He ain't going to do that.
No.
So, and this guy's a lot outside of Barboza. Barboza, he's been known to have issues with the grapplers. He's been known to have issues with the submissions. He's been known to have all those things. Topuria is a good enough grappler that he can stymie all the things that Bryce Mitchell's going to do. So I could see this going the distance. All right, next fight.
All right, now we're getting into the prelims.
All right. I mean, this is actually like the card's not bad, John, but you got
actually the prelims are really good. They've got some really good matchups in the prelims.
You've got Rosenstruck. Is it? Say it for me, Dave. Give me that little bit of an accent because it sounds better when you say it. Rosenstruck. Okay.
Jairzinho Rosenstruck.
Against Chris Daukaus.
Yeah.
And Daukaus' brother just lost last weekend. Now he's here, hoping to get the win for the family.
Both of them need to win.
This is tough, John.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to hit this fight to the ground.
Exactly. This is a matter of if this fight stays on the feet, say goodbye to Chris Daukaus. He's not going to do well against Rosenstruck. He doesn't have the power. We've already seen Daukaus in a stand-up battle with someone that's got big power in Derek Lewis, and you saw what happened.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to handle that power. But on the ground, he's got a distinct advantage in this fight. So the real question is, can he get to the ground? And the truth is, yes, he can. He's just got to use his hands to keep Jairzinho occupied in that moment, because Jairzinho doesn't do a good job of moving his feet when someone is starting to shoot on him. He tends to try to put his hands in positions, and his feet are not moving either laterally one way or the other to get himself out and to sweep a leg through. So Chris can get him to the ground. And if he gets him to the ground, he has a huge advantage in this fight. But let's just be honest. Jairzinho can definitely put Daukaus out with one shot. He can hurt him bad, and he can do that at any point in the stand-up. And so he has a distinct advantage in the stand-up.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get, and this has been the hardest part for Rosenstruck, is that you got to lure him out. He's very tight-wadded, I guess I should say. He's very tight with his combinations, not combinations, but his output. He doesn't throw a lot of strikes. When he throws them, he wants them to mean something. And for Daukaus to get in deep enough to get the takedown, he's going to have to lure him out. He's going to have to get that mold to get his head out of the hole. And I don't know if he can do it, John. Like Rosenstruck he's just so conservative with his output. And so he doesn't leave himself really out of position a whole lot. And Daukaus is going to have to get that out of him. And that means you're going to have to stand. You're going to have to trade. You're going to have to do something in there to get in deep enough to get the takedown. So if he can do that, then I think he's got a good chance if this fight hits the ground. But will this fight does he have the wrestling though, John, to get him down? The strength in the wrestling to get him down?
We're going to find out, because like I said, this is, in my opinion, not that Chris Daukaus' stand-up is bad. It's not. I just don't think that he has the power to stay and make Rosenstruck respect him in the stand-up too much. I think Rosenstruck is going to feel his power and go, nope. And then it is a question, like you're saying, of what is his output going to be like? He does need to throw more because he becomes very reserved because he wants to land that one shot because he has that kind of power. He knows that I can touch you with one and put you out. And so he's always looking for that one perfect shot. If he can open this up and make that perfect shot occur through the use of his hands and putting shots on him, I think he's going to be in a better position to win the fight.
Got it. You got Raul Rosas Jr. fighting Jay Perrin. How do you see that fight going?
Well, this is that young kid, man, and he's talented. The real question is, how does he do under the big lights? It's not going to be easy. He's going to have a lot of adrenaline running through his body at the time. But, the kid seems to be pretty composed. And Jay Perrin, good fighter, but he's going to be at a deficit against Rojas, especially on the ground.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the fight's going to go.
Do you look at Rojas Jr. as like a Damian Maia type fighter he's very one-dimensional? Like his stand-up is okay, but it's not great, John.
No, right now, yes. And this is my problem with Rojas is this. Where does the UFC go with him? He's so young that he's got all this upside. Yes, he does.
Mm-hmm.
But he needs to improve in so many areas that how far are you going to carry him by trying to give him fights that are tailor-made for his style? This comes back into look where Mickey Gall is at now. Look at where some of these guys that came in, with no real experience as a professional, and they can only give you so many tailor-made fights before they start putting guys that are real fighters that have the ability to stop what you're good at. And that's the real question. I do think Rojas gets a win in this, his first UFC fight. My question is, how does he do in his fourth, in his fifth? Because that's when they're going to have to start putting real people against him. And that's when, it's a different world. There's levels to this. And it's, if you don't understand those levels, I'm sorry, but there are complete levels to this. And they can give you a couple of gimme easy ones, not that they're easy fights, but they are fights that are meant for your style.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing here.
Got it. All right, let's go. Edmund Shabazian versus, how do you say this guy's name? Lungambayala?
Look, this is one of those ones that you're looking at with Edmund.
Lungambula.
Yeah. Lungambula. There you go.
There you go.
It's perfect.
Yes. Always.
I think this is a fight we're talking about where you're looking at styles. In Shabazian needs to get this thing to the ground and use his submission game. If he ends up in the stand-up, he's going to have problems again. Not that he's not okay there, but that's playing to the strength of his opponent. He needs to get this thing to the ground, utilize his submission game, and he can get the win and get himself back on track.
Yeah. Shabazian, just like I agree with you, just needs to get this fight to the ground. He can't afford to take a lot of damage. I mean, he's been taking some damage in his last, 3 fights. Well, he needs to be able to... Again,
we were just talking about Rojas, and this is the perfect prime example. You got a guy, young, now at least Shabazian had some, professional fights coming in before, but they gave him fights that were meant, to make him look fairly good. He did. He performed. But as soon as that level changed, look at what happened. A good fighter. Shabazian is a good fighter. But when you're a good fighter and now they're putting you against other good fighters that are of your level, can stop some of the things that you do, the world changes. It's not an easy prospect to go through. And so I think this fight, the UFC is looking at, hey, let's try to get him back on track. It's not that, it's an easy opponent. The opponent has some advantages in this, especially in the stand-up, but Shabazian has his advantages. And if he fights smart and puts the fight where he has those advantages, he's going to get the win.
Yep. This fight to me is going to be fireworks. You got Joaquin Buckley versus Chris Curtis.
Oh, God, that's a good fight.
How is this so low on the card? This is a great fight.
Yeah, no, I look at this one and the action man and Chris Curtis. I just hope that I don't see the Chris Curtis that I saw in his last fight, because that was a Chris Curtis that didn't bring the action that he normally does. Chris tends to start a little slow, and then he builds and he just keeps on coming, and his volume starts to just amplify as the fight comes on. And that's what he needs to do with Buckley. Now, Buckley's strong. Buckley can hit hard. He's got a lot of good kicks and stuff. So Chris Curtis has got to be very careful of a lot of the techniques that Buckley throws. But this is going to be, I think, a stand-up fight. Although Chris can bring it to the ground, he normally doesn't do that. Yeah. He likes to stand on his feet and use his stand-up. I think he would be smart if he took Buckley to the ground, if given the proper timing and opportunity. I'm not sure that Chris is going to do that, though, but I think this is a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight. I think Joaquin Buckley's going to use the fast hands. And both of them, when you think about the middleweight division, neither one of them is a big middleweight.
They're tweeners.
Yep, they are.
Yeah.
And so when you look at this fight, it's a perfect matchup.
Yeah.
You're not going to see one guy real long, tall, and lanky, just sticking and moving, using his reach over Buckley or Curtis. Yeah. They're both going to...
Both physically strong.
Yes,
both
they both look it.
Yeah.
They both look it. So I wish I was blessed with those genetics. Instead, I'm blessed with more like Dave's genetics, podcast Dave's genetics. Quarantillo versus Alex Hernandez. Got Billy Quarantillo.
It's a great fight.
Should be good. Should be good.
Alex the Great, man, he's a super athlete. He's fast. He's got good power in his hands. But Billy has proved through time, man, he is a junkyard dog. This dude's a scrapper. He never stops. He's got a great pace. He utilizes his conditioning to break his opponents. And we have seen through, previous fights, Alex, if that fight is at a certain pace, he tends to, fall off of that cliff a little bit. And Billy is the guy that can push him over that cliff. So this is a great matchup. It's who's going to control the pace of the fight.
Yeah, Alex has a hard time he has a hard time slowing the fight down.
Yes.
When he gets into a mix, he doesn't understand where his breaking point is. He needs to every fighter, especially at the highest level, they start to learn that, okay, look, I need to step back, take a breather before I can't go any further.
Yeah.
And so he just hasn't figured that out yet. And he does, like you said, it's like a cliff. He drops off drastically because he continues to push through that barrier, which can make for fun fights.
Yeah.
But also is
not
a losing recipe. Yeah, not if you're him. It's a losing recipe. John, is there any other fights on here? You got Ova St. Preux fighting, but doesn't have an opponent lined up next to him right now. So TJ Brown versus Eric Silva, Vinicius Salvador versus Daniel Lacerda, and then you've got Cameron Simon versus Steven Kozlov.
Yeah.
Nope. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our UFC, 288?
No.
282. UFC 282 talk. But let's get into the next round of talks, which this fight is finally coming to a head. All the shit talking is over, thank goodness, because I can only hear so many fucks in my life. So,
come on.
Bellator 289, you got Rafael Stots versus Danny Sabatello in the semifinals of the Bantamweight World Grand Prix. I'm finally excited. I'm really, really excited for this fight. I hope they do not let us down. Shit, I don't think they will. I really don't believe they will.
I don't either.
I don't think it's possible because stylistically, Danny Sabatello has to take this fight to the ground.
Yes.
Now that's the question. Can he get Rafael Stots to the ground? But John, I'm a huge Rafael Stots fan. I'm a fan of the taco meat. I'm a fan of all of that. But this really comes down. This is a 5-round fight. Rafael Stots has a tendency to kind of slow down around round 2.5, 3 at the pace that he's going to have to fight against Danny Sabatello. And what I mean by slow down is that the combinations become labored a little bit. He starts pushing them a little bit. They're not coming out in bunches. They're coming out in 1s and 2s instead of 3s and 4s. I get a little concerned if his wrestling is going to hold up. Now, that's one thing that he can do really well. People they underestimate his wrestling because he's such a good striker. And he can wrestle I think he's probably more comfortable wrestling for 5 rounds than he is for stand up for 5 rounds because that's where he came up from a baby. Yeah. I mean, it's ingrained in him. You can wrestle and stay relaxed. But when you have another wrestler that has been born and bred to do the same thing, then they put you in those positions, in those wrestling positions that make you work. And that's where I get concerned. If Danny is able to get him down, will Danny make him wrestle in positions that he doesn't have to wrestle normally against other guys that don't have the type of wrestling that Danny has? Danny's a grinder. Danny's going to get on top of you. Danny's going to just sit you to your hip. He's going to lift and slam. He's going to do all of those things. And he's going to shoot from 10 feet away.
Oh, yes,
he's so damn fast. He is so damn fast. But now he's fighting someone who's just as fast.
There you go.
And this is going to be a fun fight and a very interesting fight because it really comes down to whether Danny Sabatello can implement his game plan, and that is wrestle, and slow Stots down in the later rounds. Danny's going to give away round 1 and 2 probably.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to. But he's going to have to get on that grind. He's going to have to get in close on the clinch. He's going to have to get in the hang on Rafael Stots. He's going to make him work in every position. Otherwise, if he doesn't do that, it's going to be a long round, 3, 4, and 5 for him.
Boy, this is a fight where you take a look and it's so funny because you've heard him talk and all the stuff, and there's a lack of respect. But at the end of this fight, I guarantee there's going to be both guys having respect for the skill set of the other, and they do match up well. I am concerned in some ways as far as Sabatello disrespecting the wrestling ability of Rafael Stots. Crazy, should never do that. When you're talking, he talks about Division I compared to Division II, and he's absolutely right in that. If you go through all of the wrestlers, there's a big drop off, from Division I into Division II when you're looking at the guys that aren't going to make the NC2As. But when you're talking about the guys that are making the NC2As, those guys are good wrestlers. And when you're talking about guys winning the NC2As in Division II, they can wrestle at any D1 school. They are good wrestlers. And so Rafael Stots won 2 NC2As at Division II. The guy can wrestle. Now, the real question is this. In my opinion, when Danny Sabatello shoots, and he's going to shoot, if you're Rafael Stots, you have to make him pay for that shot. You have to make him feel the power that you have. If you stop the takedown attempt and you want to use strikes, then you've got to do damage. If you want to turn it on him and create it where now you're coming out in the top position, then if you're in the top position, you can't just hold on with him because he's going to be comfortable there. You need to make him pay for that shot. You need to just start to put dents into that armor and diminish him early in the fight, because that type of damage will carry on to the later rounds where he normally does very well based upon his conditioning and his ability to grind people. If you're Danny Sabatello, you're saying, I've got to just keep telling myself, no matter what, the shot is coming. If I miss it, then I miss it. But here comes number 2. If I miss number 2, here comes number 3. And you need to make it to where you push Rafael even in the stand-up, through the use of your wrestling, you're pushing him to the point of being uncomfortable. The pace is a little too fast. There's too much that I'm having to do. I'm having to stop these, and my arms are now getting heavy, so my punches are not coming out as clean as they would, if this wasn't occurring. And you just got to make it a grimy, nasty fight where you are just pushing the pace relentlessly to break your opponent. Can both do that? Yes, both can do that. That's what makes it such a fascinating fight and such a great fight. They both have phenomenal wrestling. If you're going to look towards who has the advantage, on the feet, it's Rafael Stots. He has got better technique in the stand-up. He's just cleaner there. If you're looking at who does a better job at controlling the fight, it's going to be Danny Sabatello. Danny is a guy that once he gets on top of you, he's trouble because he's not easy to get past. He's super long for this weight class. You're looking at a guy that's almost 6 feet tall and 135 pounds. And he uses that length very well on the ground. He puts himself in positions that if you're a smaller guy, you can't do. He can do it based upon that length. This is a great matchup. I love the way both talk. I love both guys. They're both fantastic as far as just people. We're going to see who's the best, but I do believe at the end of this, there will be respect.
To go back on what you said about the disrespect for Division II wrestling. I've seen some of the best wrestlers in junior college that just couldn't make grades.
That's right.
Couldn't go to Division I. They couldn't get to a bigger college because they didn't make grades, so they went to a JUCO. National champs, whatever it is. Daniel Cormier wrestled at a JUCO. Now, I don't know what the reasons were on why he went there instead of going to a Division I. Trevor Prangley wrestled at the JUCO. He came over from South Africa. His first time in the States. Came over and wrestled in here. It's like you have Vladimir Matyshenko wrestled at North Idaho College. Not North Idaho College. He wrestled at Lassen. You know, you've got Bobby Lashley, Missouri Valley. Like, there's smaller colleges than a lot of these guys that wrestled at. And they just, some of them couldn't make grades. They just couldn't get to the Division I schools. So to say that, it's just not true. Now, I think we're going to see a little bit of Rafion Stots fighting the way that he fought Magomedov.
Yeah.
He's going to be sticking the jab in the face, going to be throwing the quick combinations, sprawling and brawling, defending the takedowns, potentially getting a takedown of his own. He's going to let Danny know that I can wrestle with you. Now, can Danny get up off of his back? And that's going to start to deplete his energy. You know, Danny's energy, also mess with his mindset. So there's a lot to take in this fight when you're watching this fight, but it's going to be definitely a good fight. All the trash talking's finally coming to a close. And that's the great thing, John. You always say this, is that the great thing about this sport, all the trash talk you talk, you still got to get in there and fight.
And you get to punch that sumbitch right in the mouth.
Exactly.
It's the best.
The co-main event's going to be Liz Carmouche for the title against Juliana Velasquez. I'm surprised, to be honest, this isn't the main event. Now, I understand why Stots in them, but it's a semifinal.
Yeah, but here's the difference. And normally, generally, usually, what promotions do, and this is what Bellator is doing here, I can see it, they take the heavier weight class. Both are championship fights because Rafa.
Oh, that's right. Interim. I'm sorry.
That's right. Yeah.
Interim title. I completely forgot about it.
So you're looking at 135, 125. That's why.
Never mind. I understand. Got it. I forgot that because Rafael doesn't talk about it a lot. He's the interim champion right now because Pettis is on the sideline because of the injury.
Yep.
Liz Carmouche versus Juliana Velasquez. I think that too much of the groundwork was laid in the first fight. Liz Carmouche going to go right to the wrestling, right to the takedowns, and understand that, look, my bread and butter is right there. Once I get this fight to the ground, I've got this fight in the bag. She's the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. She's the better MMA jiu-jitsu player. And she showed that in the first fight.
I agree.
She's got to be very careful. Juliana Velasquez got the power. She dropped Liz Carmouche in the first fight. She had her rocked a couple times in that first fight. And there's a lot to be taken away from Juliana, like what she needs to do to make sure that first fight doesn't happen again, especially as the fight goes on.
Yeah, you're right. You got it exactly right. Liz in that first fight should have learned a lot. Yeah. But so the same with Juliana, because Juliana was winning that fight based upon the stand-up because it really didn't hit the ground very often. And then when Liz finally got it to the ground, she showed, first off, she's superior on the ground. She's stronger, she's physically stronger, and she's superior with her body positioning. She can force Juliana into positions that she doesn't want to be into. So that right there, if you're Liz, you're going, man, I know exactly where I need to go. Now, that doesn't mean that it's easy to get there either. Yeah. And she does have to get through the stand-up of Juliana and make it to where she's able to not take damage because she was taking some heavy shots at times. Mm-hmm. This is one of those ones, either fighter can win it, but this is going to be which one learned the most off of that first fight because the first fight ended in a way that, look, I'm not going to sit here and take anything from anybody. Liz did exactly what she was supposed to do, and it's not her fault that a fight was stopped probably when it shouldn't have been stopped. Juliana was winning that fight. She got herself in a bad compromised position, but she didn't deserve to have the fight stopped when it was stopped. So we're going to find out, which lady went back and said, okay, I have to change some things in fighting this opponent, and which one is better at doing those things. That's going to be the winner.
We're going to find out. Now, I feel like the fight that's been getting under the radar here is Magomedov versus Patchy Mix, man. Yeah. I got a lot of love for Patchy Mix. He was on a tear, fought Juan Archuleta, dominated the first 2 rounds, started to slow down, started to get tired.
Learned a lesson.
He learned a lesson, went back to the drawing board, learned that he had to stay relaxed, stay composed, not fight with an ego, fight more with his confidence versus ego. There's a difference between the two. You have to understand those. Seems like he's learned that. He also understands not to blow his wad on certain positions in chasing submissions or pushing to get those takedowns. Wait for the opportunities to present themselves and stick and move, stay long. He's tall for 135 pounds, really tall. And so when you match him up against someone like Magomedov, who's got a lot of spinning attacks, he's got great wrestling, He mixes it up very well. He's quick on the neck, as we saw, or Barzola saw. He's quick on jumping to the guillotine. He's quick on that arm in guillotine. He's quick on getting to the back. He's good at all of those positions. But on the ground, this is a nasty fight for Magomedov. He's got to avoid the takedowns. He's gonna have to keep it on the feet, and he's got the spinning attacks. But the striking, you can only throw so many spinning attacks before you start leaving yourself open. You start slowing down. You start showing them too much. Start giving up compromising positions. You do too many spinning attacks. You give your back, and the last thing you want is for Patchy Mix to get a hold of you as you're spinning and jump to your back, and the fight could be over. Patchy Mix, this is the fight, John. Like I said, this fight is slid under the radar because Stots and Danny have just taken over the media. Yeah, and but this is going to be a good fight. This really comes down to who can implement their game plan.
This is a great matchup, and I'm going to say this, off of that loss that Patchy Mix had to Archuleta, he had the win against Gallagher, but it wasn't, No. What was impressive is he had a lot of things going on. His coach couldn't make it. He was having problems with weight. He had all these issues. But when it came to the fight itself, at least at a certain point, he was able to settle himself down, and he got the win in a bad situation overall, even with the hometown crowd against him and everything. But his fight against Horiguchi, hey, let's just be honest. He looked fantastic. He did some great work in there. He had Horiguchi in trouble, and he learned, like you're saying, like when the submission wasn't there, he didn't try to just apply something just to, try to get someone to, scare themselves out of the fight or anything like that. He went for it when it was there. He took his time. When it wasn't there, he was just saying, okay, I'm just going to sit here and hit and do things to damage you. I look at this fight, and it's exactly what you're saying. Magomed's got great wrestling, but he's going to have to use that wrestling, in my opinion, to keep this thing on the feet. If you're going to say, where is Patchy Mix less dangerous? It's got to be on the feet, man. Yeah. That's where you're looking and saying, I need to keep this guy on his feet. I don't want to be on the ground. I can be on the ground if I'm in the top position, and just be careful about what I do, but I can't let him start changing the angle on me. As soon as he starts changing the angle, I'm getting up. I'm not going to play the game with him and stuff. So if you're Magomed, you got to go away from what has been your bread and butter, and that is to take people down and to dominate them on the ground. I'm not saying that he can't be down there with Patchy, but all it takes is one mistake on his part, and Patchy's going to have his back. He's called the human backpack for a reason, and he's only getting better. He's training with, Jake Shields as his coach. He loves Jake as a coach. All of that grappling knowledge, because Jake was never that guy that had a ton of different attacks. No.
It was the same shit.
Exactly.
It was the same thing.
He made you couldn't stop what he did. And that was what was impressive about him. And now Patchy is just picking up from there. And once he gets you to the ground and he gets the back, you can't stop what he does. And so you're right. This is a fight. It's flying under the radar, but this is a fantastic semifinal match.
Yeah, it's who can not just implement their game plan, but it's impose their will on the other.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Barzola fight with Magomedov, is that he didn't wrestle a lot. He didn't have to. He was just using his stand-up. Barzola was good at stuffing the takedowns, and he was able to land a bunch of clean shots on Barzola. They had some good exchanges. But when it came down to it all, Barzola was the one that put his head down in the wrong position.
Made the mistake
and got caught in the guillotine. Now, that can happen to anybody, but he's going to need something like that. How are you going to get Patchy Mix's head down? He's fucking like 6'4". No, he's not that tall. But he's really tall and long and lanky. He's probably about 6'. He's got to be a 5. He's closer to 5'11", you think, right? Think so. No?
Yeah. Sabatello is the tallest one out of them.
Really? I feel like Patchy's taller than Sabatello.
No? I don't think so. But he's tall.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. This, like I said, it's flying under the radar. Make sure you guys tune in for that fight. Now, this guy, he likes to try to call me out in the middle of the cage.
He's got to call you out again.
This guy.
You better give him some love right now.
It's going to be hard not to. It's going to be hard not to, man. I think he's got the recipe for disaster for Anthony Adams.
Yeah.
I think Dalton Ross, he's got the ability, he's got the power, he's got the pressure. He's now has the cardio. Because early in his career, you could tell he had slowed down quite a bit. It looked like he was carrying too much muscle. and not well trained muscle. It was more of like a lifting muscle.
More
now
of a lifting,
he's now he's slimmed down. He's got he's got more of the shredded look instead of the bulkier look. And even though he's only about 5'6", he's gonna kill me for saying that.
Oh man.
Even though he's only about 5'6",
Dalton, I want you to realize who said that. Everyone tends to put things that Josh says, like John said it. John didn't say that.
No, John says a lot of things. I'm saying
you're at least 5'10", 5'11".
No, I think he's 6 foot. He's 6 foot.
Be.
Yeah, I give him a hard time, but only because he beat my boy. He beat my boy Romero Cotton. That's all. But no, I got a lot of respect for him, man. He's a great fighter. He's turning out to be a really great fighter.
Boy, he's really becoming something.
And John, how much of that is because of Johnny Eblin, Austin Vanderford, Yaroslav Famislav?
Let's be honest. Dalton Rasta made a choice. He had his guys. He was living in Pennsylvania, and he had his gym, but realized, I think I need to be pushed a little bit more. And that's, as the fighter, Josh, you have a choice. And you learned it early because when you were early in your career, you're tossing guys around, you're submitting guys. Dude, I'm the big fish in this pond, baby. Who wants some? And then you find out, I'm in a very small pond, though.
Yeah,
there's a big ocean out there. It's got some sharks. And Dalton Rasta was man enough to say, "Hey, I need to go work every day against guys that sometimes are better than me. I need to get better if I'm going to say I want to be the best in this sport. I can't stay where I'm at. I got to go someplace where I've got killers around me all the time." And that's not an easy thing. It's tough. It's, some guys can't do that. They can't go and lose and get put in bad spots every day in training because it just breaks their will. It breaks their confidence. Other guys, they thrive off of it. It's, I want to show you the next day that you can't do that. You did it on Tuesday. You're not going to do it on Wednesday. And I think Dalton Rasta has found that place in ATT with the guys that he trains with, being, the champ and Johnny Eblin and Austin Vanderford and Yaroslav when he's there and all these guys. They have helped make Dalton Rasta the fighter that we're seeing today. And man, he is a stud and he's got good wrestling. He's got fantastic stand-up now. Now his cardio matches. He doesn't, you can see the moments when he takes a second, takes the breath, and then comes back at it, and you go, way to go. That just shows you've learned. You're improving as a fighter. Anthony Adams has got good stand-up. He's a tough guy. I would like to see Dalton kind of utilize some of that wrestling that he has just to put him on his back, make him work, make him have to deal with, that portion of your game because he's super physically strong. Don't just be the guy that goes and says, I'm going to match you at your strength. Put the guy into a place where you're strongest and make him work out of it. But Dalton Rasta has really come along as a fighter. He's just fantastic. Still undefeated, and I think he's going to remain that way in this fight.
Denise Killholtz versus, is it Ilara Ioane?
Ioane, yeah.
Ioane. I know it's Ioane. Yeah. Well, what's her first name?
Ilara.
That's what I wasn't sure. If it was Ilara. Okay, so Ilara Ioane versus Denise Killholtz.
Yeah, this is really a battle of strikers, but Ioane has at least showed in her last fight, she'll take the fight to the ground now. Denise Killholtz has won quite a few of her fights on the ground, even though she's known as Miss Dynamite. She's got great stand-up, kickboxing background where she's multi-time world champion. You look and you go, I think the speed definitely goes to Denise Killholtz. I think they're both gritty in the stand-up. I think the ground is going to be the difference maker in this fight. And it's who gets to the top position. Whichever one gets to the top position and it's going to hit the ground, that's going to be the person that's going to walk away as a winner.
John, do you know this guy named Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
He's all over social media.
Yeah.
He's got all these things talking about whatever. He talks about
I don't know him. I don't know him personally. I've never met him.
I don't know him personally either. But I just saw a video out that Denise Killholtz was his coach.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So they had a video of a clip and him talking and or her talking and him talking, saying, that he was saying that she was his coach, and then she was doing an interview talking about how he's got power, he stays composed, he's still young but coming up, he's got 6 knockouts. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I didn't know that. But that's pretty cool.
I didn't know.
Anyways, she's dynamite. I'm a huge fan of Denise.
She's dynamite.
She's dynamite, man. Joanne's she's got to get this fight to the ground. I think she has a chance on the feet, but it's a very slim one.
Yeah.
I think the power of Denise Kielholtz, you play up there too long, you're going to catch on fire, and it's going to explode in your face.
Yep.
It really is. And on the ground, Denise Kielholtz is not bad either. No. But she's not as good off of her back as she is as good on top.
No.
She's got some vicious ground and pound. She's got some vicious ground and pound Denise does if she's on top. So I think Joanne's got to make sure that she ends up on top. Yeah. She can get this fight to the ground and up on top, make Denise fight from the bottom. She's got a good chance of winning this fight. But I think that's her only way of winning this fight. On the feet is not going to look good for her. And if she's on bottom, it is not going to look good for her either.
Yep. I agree.
Then you got Cody Law versus Chris Lencioni. John, when I saw this fight, I thought it was after watching Cody Law in his last fight, coming off his first loss of his career, I believe he's 6-1 now.
Yeah.
You got Lencioni, who is 9-3. Now, the wrestling pedigree is going to, he's Sunshine. He's got good wrestling himself, yes, but the pedigree, the better pedigree wrestling goes to Cody Law. But the size is going to go to Lencioni.
Yeah.
He's going to make Cody Law carry his weight everywhere. The submission threat's going to be there. Lencioni's not bad on the feet. He brings a lot of that journeyman type style of fight that Cody Law's going to have to deal with. And he struggled a little bit in his first loss. He had great performance in the first round, then just started slowing down, got so tired that he had nowhere to go. Yeah. It was not, I want to say panicking, but it was like he was so exhausted, he couldn't defend himself. He couldn't get himself out of positions. He couldn't get takedowns. He couldn't do anything. And Lencioni is that guy who will be smiling at you in the third round, telling you, let's go. Bring it on. Remember when he fought, what's his name? AJ Agazar? Agazar, yeah. He was just toying with him. Get up. Come on. Because Agazar couldn't take him down.
Yep.
Agazar couldn't strike with him. Agazar couldn't get to submissions. Because Lencioni's got good submission defense, and he's a good submission guy himself.
He's very good submission guy.
And he's big for the size. He's big.
He's big for the size. He's big for the weight class.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
I love you.
What a jerk.
He's big for the size.
Joshism.
There's a new
Joshism.
Hey, this guy's big for the size.
Yeah. You know what? I got to get that saying that. Remember the one that I did? Because I want to make a T-shirt out of it. It was, I'm going to tell you the truth, and then if you don't believe me, I'm going to lie to you. Or I'm going to, it was something like that. I got to go back. Dave, you remember what it was?
It's something I'm going to lie to you until I tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm going to lie to you and tell you the truth. Yeah.
I'm going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you the truth. Or something. It was something like that. Anyways, I got to remember what it was, but I want to make a shirt out of that. Number one, Josh is on a shirt.
Height signs 50-50. Number two.
Number two. I'm going to lie to you until I tell you the truth or something like that. Then I got to make all the Joshisms.
Yeah, he's big for the size.
Dave, that's your job, man. That's a number one selling shirt. Joshisms.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
Yeah, I look at this one and this is a tough fight for Cody Law, I think. Mm-hmm. Chris Lencioni he's the real deal, and he's a fighter. Yeah. And he doesn't have any give up. Lencioni was released by Bellator for a while, and he's coming back here, and we'll see, because I've always thought this guy's got a ton of talent. Yeah. It's really a question of, does he get his mind right, as far as what he wants to do in the weight class. But Cody Law's got his hands full in this one. It's not that Cody can't win it. He can definitely win it. But, man, this is not an easy go, and he's got to be very careful when it comes to the submission game, because Lencioni is slick.
Yeah. You got Jaleel Willis versus Kyle Crutchman, my boy, but I'm a big fan of Jaleel Willis as well. But I talked with Kyle about this fight, and he's just like, I could tell he's like, we know. He's like, I don't say this is a good fight for you. The wrestling, the pressure on top, the ability to wrestle and re-wrestle and then mat return. This is a good fight for you. Now, you may struggle in the first couple takedowns. Don't let that distract you from getting the takedown. But he can also stand a little bit with him. Jaleel will throw big power. He's got some speed. But Kyle can stand with him a little bit too. Kyle's been getting better on the feet.
Yeah.
Don't just get suckered in from shooting from 10 feet away. You're not Danny Sabatello. You don't have that speed on that double leg. He's a good fighter. Kyle's a good fighter. Kyle's got good hands. Kyle's got great wrestling. He's got good top pressure. And he's a very well-rounded fighter, but Jalil does tend to soften when his back is on the mat.
Yeah, you take a look, and Jalil has the advantage of the stand-up here. Let's just be honest. Mm-hmm. But it's not that Crutchmer is bad in the stand-up. It's just that Jalil is a little bit smoother. I think he's got a little bit more snap on his shots. Crutchmer's got power, but he can't deliver it in the same manner as Jalil. You look at the wrestling. Jalil can wrestle, but Crutchmer's got the advantage. He's the better wrestler. And yes, it's not going to be easy for you to take him down, but you've got to stick with what brung you in this fight. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get a win against this guy, it's going to be more advantageous for you to utilize that wrestling and put him on his back. Because once he's on his back, he's not dangerous. Mm-hmm. That's been proven. Too many guys, have come out and now submitted him. You put him on his back, you've just taken the danger of Jalil Willis away from you in the fight. That's what you want to do. Kyle Crutchmer, utilize that wrestling, put him on his back. You come out with the win. You try to get into a stand-up battle with him, look out. He's going to beat you.
All right. Is there any other fights on this card you want to talk about? You got Kai Kamaka versus Kevin Boehm. You've got Mark Lemminger versus Mike Lombardo. Pat Downey, I think we've got to give him some love right now because he's coming off of his first win. And it's a quick, kind of a little bit of a quick turnaround. If you think about it, right? He fought in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, he fought in Sioux Falls.
Got him ready.
But he need see right now. Pat Downey needs to be fighting.
Yes,
this is what Pat Downey needs to do. Is you give yourself a chance to take a break from the fight, but get back in the gym and have your next fight scheduled so you're 2 months out or something like that.
Yeah, everybody I've talked to that's is surrounded by him or surrounds him. He needs to stay busy.
Yes, he needs to stay busy.
He needs to stay busy for all of our sake. For everybody's sake. For everybody's sake, he needs to stay busy. Keep this man in the gym.
That's
making
right. Making
money.
That's good. Hey,
so yeah,
make him a rich man. Make him fight all the time. Look, we know the guy can wrestle. He can wrestle his ass off, and he's tough. He doesn't mind getting hit. He is a tough dude. He's got his stand-up is coming along. He's going to be a handful. Just give him some time. This is one of those ones of, hey, don't expect him to go up and beat the very best. He doesn't have that experience. But man, give him a couple of years and give him enough fights. He's going to be something special.
Yep. You got Cass Vell versus Jared Scoggins. Scoggins, good striker, Taekwondo style stand up. And then Cass Vell, just a grinder wrestler, get on you, just, try to get submission. Very good submission game. Randy Field versus Christina.
Nope, that fight's off.
Oh, it is? Okay. Oh, and then, of course, the one that I like the most on this bottom opening the card is Lucas Brennan. Good kid, man. Really good kid. Oh, Jesus. Lost that one, too.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
See, you don't have to do this work on the prelims.
All right. Wait, that's going to wrap up our Bellator talk. Make sure you guys tune in. That is Friday night on Showtime. You guys can watch prelims on YouTube, Bellator YouTube, or you can watch it, I think, on Showtime YouTube as well. But check it out on the Bellator YouTube.
App.
Yep, Bellator YouTube app. That'll work. All right, let's see. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, we'll cover this one story before we wrap up. Big news that TJ Dillashaw notified UFC of his retirement, and he reported on it last night. What do you guys think of this? Yeah,
I'll take Chris Taylor's opinion. Former UFC champion TJ Dillashaw retires from MMA following recent shoulder surgery. I'm not going to say he's gone yet.
Okay.
I think he's one of those guys. He's addicted to getting the healing process going. I know he's got a long road ahead of him, but I don't see this thing lasting longer than ACL. It's going to take some time. He probably hates it right now because he's having to hang his shoulder, probably trying to let it just dangle and work it in small little circles. I've been through this, man, and not the level of which he had to go through it, but there's a lot at stake, So, I would give him probably a good 7 months of just getting it to where he can actually move it above his head a little bit, maybe in 8 months, but then after that, getting himself back into shape. He's looking at a year out, but I could see him making a return. I think once he gets back, I can see him saying, you know what? I feel good. I know I can do this. I know I can still do it at a high level. And if anything, he can come back and make some good money. Even if he doesn't fight for the title again, he can come back and make some good money. I can see that happening. I think right now he wants the freedom to eat and drink and do whatever he wants to do. I don't know. Healing process? I don't know.
I've heard that with people say, oh, he just wants to go on the Conor McGregor healing process tour, and hey, whatever he wants to do. First off, I look at it and say he's got a bad shoulder injury. It's going to be a long time before he fights again. If he was going to fight again, I have talked to a couple people, and they say he just basically said, you know what? By talking to the doctors, it's been told to me that I'm going to have a very long healing process with this, and that I may never be able to actually use my shoulder in the same fashion. I won't be able to be the same fighter. And if I can't be the same fighter, I'm not going to fight. So I really think it is, yes, he's looking at, well, let me start to rehab it and see. But if it doesn't come back in the fashion that he's comfortable with, you're not going to see him come back.
Yeah.
This will be his retirement, and that's okay. If he does get to the point where he doesn't have to worry about his shoulder, it's functioning perfectly, he's able to do everything that, he wants to do with it and stuff, you're right. He may come back. But right now, in his mind, this is the end.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. They change their tune as they get
Sure.
better, starts to feel better, and
that's
and we've seen with him is that he's not someone that wants to go down like that.
No,
he's gonna try to come back. I think he's gonna try to come back, get another fight.
Well, and that's like what you were saying. He can just come back and fight. Fight for the money. You don't have to win titles. No, that's not TJ.
Yeah,
let's just be honest. You know him. I know him. There's one thing in TJ. He wants to show everyone I'm the best.
I can relate. I didn't want to come back for money. I know a lot of fighters that they don't care about the money. They just want to come back and try to show that they're the best. And if you can't do that, why do it? I get it. Dave, anything else?
We're going to wrap up on that one.
All right.
Go
to WayneInMerch.com. Pick up some of our new merch. Got hats, sweaters, short
fantastic hoodies, great looking
designs.
Shirts, and stuff that you're going to be happy with. You're going to be proud to wear it, and you're going to be proud to give it as a present because it's Christmas. And Josh, did you get your present yet?
There it is.
We got to talk about that, baby. We got to talk about that. Next show, we're talking about that.
All right, buddy. You got to get to the airport, huh?
Pretty nice, huh?
It is it's heavy as hell.
Fuck yeah.
It was so heavy. The box came all beat up. I was like, there better not be anything important in there. And then I opened it up. I was like, oh, this is metal. Nothing's going to happen to this thing.
Well, it had padding all over it.
Yeah. But the box was like in pieces. They brought it and delivered it on my doorstep, and it was raining. I was like,
really?
Jeez, yeah. It was in pieces. I was like, I should have taken a photo of it. But whoever made it, tell them I said thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. But we will give it some love, extra love on the next show.
That's right.
But it looks pretty nice up there on my wall, buddy.
That's fucking sweet,
Look at that.
baby.
The belt too, but they're right below it.
Now you did see the side piece on it, right?
No.
Oh, dude, it's personalized, man.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna check it out. I was so impressed. I was like, and it was very heavy. So I was like, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
All right.
All right, man. Well, hey, catch your flight. I will see you tomorrow morning. I don't land until like 8 something. We got to check out. We're doing. Oh, by the way, let's give a little love. We're doing the morning combat show tomorrow morning.
All right. So you are going to be there for it.
I think so. Right? It's at 8 o'clock. What time is it? At 8 o'clock?
No, I want to say it's at 11 o'clock.
Okay, then I should be there. Yeah, I think I land at like 8:30, 8:40, something like that. I think I should be there in time.
Yeah.
So I will be there in person. If I'm not there in person, you get to hear my lovely voice, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
But
get to talk with the beautiful Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell. Love it.
Yeah, I gotta maybe be a little nice this time. Last time I guess I was a little mean. People were mad at me. It's like, man, Josh was so mean to Brian, BC. I was like, we were poking fun at each other. Even Luke got in on it, but apparently I don't know.
Yeah, it's so funny because you don't even know. Okay, Luke Thomas put out a thing on the Liver King, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, he says, oh, Liver King, comes out, here he is, fessing up basically, he said it in a nicer way than that. And so I did a tweet to him saying, Luke, really? Come on. Like you didn't know what he was doing before he confessed, right? And I was saying it like that, Luke, I know you knew.
Yeah.
Right. And so my wife, she looks and says, what did you write to Luke Thomas? I said, oh, the thing on the Liver King. She goes, why were you mean to him? Why?
Oh,
my God. And I go, how did you read that? Right? And she goes, I said,
Yeah.
no, read it like this. She goes, see, that's what's wrong with these things, right?
Yes.
So I actually, I texted Luke and said, hey, man, my wife just said this. And I want you to know, I was not going out. I was just saying, I know you knew exactly what he was doing long before he confessed. And he goes, yeah, that's the way I took it. And I go, well, my wife didn't take it that way. So I am just telling you, I apologize. He goes, you got nothing to apologize for. So people think you're throwing shade even when you're not.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I do. I've been subject to that many a time.
Just a
All
couple
right, guys,
times.
we're going to wrap this up. John, take us away, buddy.
Hey, for everyone out there, we hope you enjoyed the show. Enjoy watching the Bellator with the World Grand Prix coming up. Semifinals are going to be on fire. Watch the UFC. That's going to be a new light heavyweight world champion. Maybe it'll be Jan Blachowicz again. Maybe it'll be Magomed Ankalaev. You never know. But for coming on to our show and watching us, we thank you and we will see you.